Hello, I'm Dimitrios Angelou. I'm working on multistatic RFID interrogation localization with Cosmos Orbit. I'm an undergraduate from Greece, studying electrical and computer engineering. I'm on my master thesis, and that was a lot of keywords, so I'm gonna go over them. So, RFID is a technology that we are all familiar with. It's on our credit cards. It's on our password that we are using on Metro. It's everywhere. And it's like you have a tag and it's able to communicate wireless with other devices, usually in short distances. Cosmos and Orbit is everything that you see on the ceiling. It's a test bed. It has a lot of SDRs. SDRs are software-defined radios. They can either look like this. These are some cheap ones, or they can be more professional ones, like the ones that you see over there. And they are programmable ways to communicate with wireless. They are able to transmit and receive radio signals, and they are programmable using software on the computer. My project is about using USRPs. USRPs are those SDRs over there. They're very expensive. And to communicate with an RFID tag and be able to localize it in the 3D space. And we have two options for RFID tags. We've got active ones and passive ones. Passive ones are in the size of a sticker. They look like this. They're very cheap, 10 cents each. They're able to be stuck everywhere on our clothes, on items, and they're flexible. Active RFID tags are way more bulky. They are thick, they're heavy, they've got batteries, they can break from water. They're not very reliable regarding that. But they can achieve great ranges. They can be activated to up to 150 meters, whereas these are like 1.5 meters, like 3 feet is the max distance you can expect from these. But we want to use these because they're very cheap, they're reliable, they're easy to deploy and stick everywhere. And we've got two topologies that we can use. Usually, research has been based on monostatic topology. Monostatic topology means that you've got a single transmitter, a single SDR, using it for transmitting and receiving the signal. But the problem, as explained with passive tags, is that you've got a very small, limited range of activation. So if you've got one tag here and you want to get information over there, it's impossible. You have to fill the whole space with antennas to be able to cover it. But multistatic, because if a tag is activated, it can transmit the signal very far away. It can be detected up to like 40 or 50 meters away, and not just 1.5 meters away, which is the activation range. Using multistatic topologies, meaning that you've got one SDR transmitting and another SDR receiving, you can get great coverage. My topology looks something like this. You've got all your SDRs, you've got a single SDR transmitting. The RFID tag, which is the passive one, the way it works actually is that it collects energy while the transmitter is working, and it's using that energy to power itself. And it reflects the signal to some other SDRs. And they're all synchronized on a clock source. And my project is about removing that clock source because they need to be all synchronized to be able to extract the information from the tag easily. This is how the signal looks. Here we've got our transmission. Our transmission is what enables the tag to work and gives some information about the coding that we will use. And here's the tag response. The tag works by collecting energy. Right here is collecting energy when you're seeing the level of the signal here. And when it's here, it's responding by reflecting the signal. And I create an algorithm that is able to real-time detect when we are sending the signal by seeing a lot of pulses. And because every time the tag responds, it sends the same bits in the start, we can detect when the tag response starts, so we can start gathering information from that. And here you can see my progress with eliminating what is called carrier frequency offset. Carrier frequency offset means that you've got one SDR transmitting, one SDR receiving, but they don't share the common clock source that I was seeing that we're seeing here. This introduces a problem. The angle of the signal changes constantly. So we've got something like this. But we want to measure the angle between the two states observed here. to be able to localize the tag. And they found an algorithm that is able to do such in real time. So by synchronizing the tags, on the SDRs, you can see that we can now detect the two distinct states of the tag, and this introduces an offset, but we can remove it later on. And this is now centered around zero axis, and we can now find the angle of the phase of the tag between these two states. And I am using GNU Radio to communicate with the SDRs. GNU Radio is a program that a lot of projects used here. It allows us to communicate, write code to communicate with the SDRs. I wrote some blogs here, and I wrote a server that communicates with the GNU Radio over UDP connection, which is very fast. And it's able to localize the tags. And I've got a demo that I will show you right now. Here you can see me. I'm moving. I've got a cap with a tag beneath it. And as you can see, we've got some lines here that start pointing to the tag. Here's the receiving antennas. Here we've got a transmitting antenna. Here you can see that we have some lines, and they now intersect. No. You can see that they now intersect. Give it a minute. Yeah. To the tag. Some real-world applications for this project is packet tracking. Like you can imagine, UPS, DHL have placing those tickets that they are very inexpensive to their parcels and be able to track them in their warehouse, in their trucks, etc. So they don't have people wasting time scanning them all the time. Patient tracking in hospitals, so they don't leave the premises of the hospitals. If they fall on the ground, you can locate them, and for the elderly, I think that's very important. Personal item tracking, we all know about AirTags. This is another technology that maybe we can exploit to achieve very low-cost tracking. They don't cost like $30. That the AirTag is used, and they don't need batteries. And inter-drone localization is another thing that I have thought of, because there are already many technologies that are being used about that, and this is another one. And there are a lot of things that we can do, further improve on our detection, further improve on our frequency offset performance. There is always a calibration phase. It was in the start. I'm going to be setting the experiment over here in a few minutes. So you can come and feel free to play with it. But it needs a calibration phase in the beginning. It would be nice to automate that. Right now, my project is only able to communicate with a single tag. It would be very nice to be able to use multiple tags so we can differentiate between them, so we can track multiple objects at the same time. And I've got some other ideas in my mind that I'm not going to bother you with. Thank you very much.